South Africa's largest survey, challenges and opportunities for South African entrepreneurs.
Section 12J is part of the Income Tax Act, very sexy bit of legislation, because what it says is any high net worth individual, trust or company that invests into a Section 12J company can get 100% tax deduction off their taxable income in the year in which the investment is made. We've actually launched something called the WBS Seed Fund, which is a fund focused on early stage businesses. Early stage entrepreneurs are known as the missing middle in South Africa. If we're able to give this missing middle the necessary funded business support and access to markets that they need, we believe it can have a true impact.
We are proud to say that we hold the title of the largest startup survey in South Africa. This year we received 1,500 responses, which is a 50% increase from last year. We received 1,000. So what we're really trying to do is create a baseline and be able to track those entrepreneurs over time. We received almost 1,500 responses. More than half of them came from Gauteng, the second from the Western Cape, 11% in KZN. Stats SA says there's almost a split, 50-50, between women and men in South Africa. Yet we're seeing that there's only 1/3 women that were being represented by our survey. Maybe 2/3 of the entrepreneurs who responded have received or completed secondary education. While we're saying that 2/3 of our entrepreneurs are pretty educated, we know that education is only one pillar of what makes entrepreneurs successful. We also wanted to understand what are some of the popular sectors for entrepreneurs to go into. ICT, 22%, was the most represented sector, predominantly male. For women, the top sectors that women chose to become entrepreneurs in: creative industry, so this kind of captures your graphic designers, web designers, anything in the creative space. Social and community, so a lot of the NGOs, community involvement, women tend to go in those sectors. And hospitality. All except for 4 categories, men were dominant in each of those sectors. If we're trying to baseline progress from year to year, in many of the areas, there's actually no progress. Women entrepreneurs tend to be more optimistic. Women also tend to employ smaller teams. Similar to last year, most entrepreneurs work from home, so more than half, 65%. What was interesting is that I added a new category this year, which is public, because a lot of people wrote in that they just worked from wherever there was Wi-Fi. What that tells me is that entrepreneurs are extremely resourceful. We're almost looking at 95% of people who are also either self-funding or getting it from their primary network. Bank loans, 2%, angel investors, 2%, DFIs, 2%. We know that apparently there's money out there, and I know if you look at Andy, the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs, they actually say that there's 71 DFIs in South Africa. So with all of this money floating around, it tells us that it's not getting to where it's supposed to go, which is in the hands of the entrepreneurs. The top 2 challenges are at finding clients or customers and inability to raise funds. So when asked what support they required, these were the top 6, the top one being financial support, marketing support, networking opportunities, being part of a network of businesses, and ability to present new customers. The more work experience a business had or an entrepreneur had, the more likely they were that they survived more than 2.5 years. There's a myth that South African entrepreneurs are survivalists. And based on this question, we actually found that that's not true. So almost 50% of our entrepreneurs became an entrepreneur because they identified an opportunity, which is a great reason to start up a business, because they see a problem and they want to solve it. They see an opportunity to start a business. We looked at entrepreneurs that were in the pre-revenue stage, so that had not made any sales yet, and those that are in post-revenue or that have made sales. And we found that most of actually are still in pre-revenue stage. What entrepreneurs are part-time versus full-time, because we know if you're a part-time entrepreneur, you fail slowly. And maybe it's a better idea to just jump in and fail quickly.
A lot of our entrepreneurs who try and apply for funding is they get funding malaise. They just eventually just give up because it's too difficult. So I think DFIs need to do a good job of highlighting which kind of entrepreneurs they want to attract and ensure that they're very streamlined processes The next rung in the ladder, if you're looking for funding, first it's family, fools, and friends, and then the next rung would be angel investors. So, for example, I've invested in 3 startups. There's absolutely no tax incentive for me to invest in a business. Okay, so why don't we look at tax incentives for angel investors? And I think that there's a huge opportunity in South Africa for more online angel investor networks where people can start communicating. Our banking industry, I think they've got to look at ways of being a bit more lenient, looking at collateral-free loans, and looking at ways of just being more user-friendly and more approachable in the context of supporting entrepreneurs. Seed funds, hence funds like the WBS seed fund, huge need in this ecosystem for seed funding. We know that marketing and access to markets is a key problem for entrepreneurs. Teaching entrepreneurs to market is the most important thing, because when you can market, you get customers. And when you get customers, you get funding. But if you've got no traction and no kind of pipeline of potential business, an investor's not going to look at you. So for me, it's how do you build marketing into entrepreneur programs from day one? Because often we focus so much on product development that we don't focus enough on marketing. The biggest downfall of entrepreneurs is soft skills, i.e. how do I communicate? How do I network effectively? How do I pitch my business? You have to learn how to pitch, because you're not only pitching to investors, you are pitching to network contacts. You're pitching to strategic alliances. You're pitching to prospective customers. So pitching as a soft skill is absolutely critical for entrepreneurs. We need to develop a culture of entrepreneurship. As we discovered in our survey, entrepreneurs are failing slowly. It's torturous. We've got to teach people to fail fast. And in my mind, that begins at school. It begins in technicons. It begins in universities, where we provide opportunities for entrepreneurs to fail. Because the fact is, never, hardly ever, is your first business the big success. You've got to fail. You've got to learn in this game as an entrepreneur.
In terms of venture capitalists that are stepping into this space, what are they necessarily looking for? Because I'm hearing that impact investing is on the rise. And what does that mean for startups?
There's going to be a merging between business and impact investing, because you actually can't be in business unless you're environmentally conscious, you're socially conscious, you've got a broader perspective of business beyond profit.
This whole notion of success and failure, and whether entrepreneurs get into the space to create personal wealth or have success or make impact or create jobs. And I do think that because of how we have structured policy in the country and how we view what success is, which is in a very quantitative way, that's the way the externalities dictate to you whether you're successful or not. What we're not looking at in terms of a broader life intervention, if it's a life aspirational and actualization intervention, what are all of the other pieces that need to come in for you, the entrepreneur? Because it's more sustainable. And so both the notion of failure and success needs to be an internal construct that you put down that helps you measure your own progress.